Good to go? All right. Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Kate. Welcome to our Sunday morning class with Guy Finley. You are joining us here in Merlin, Oregon. It's a great day here. Hope it's nice wherever, well, of course, you all are here. But wherever our online audience is tuning in from, hope you are having a great day as well. This is a good start to our day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Glad you could join us. So if you don't know the format for today, in just a moment, Guy will come on and he'll give an hour-long talk. Then we'll take a short break and come back for part 2 of class. Hope you can stay for all of this. In part 2, we have an open Q&A dialogue discussion time with Guy, where people in the room are welcome to come up and speak if they wish, and people online, you can certainly join in the discussion as well. If you're on GoToWebinar, you know that you can raise your hand there and speak directly with Guy. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can also send in a comment, and I will come up and read it for you. So we will go for probably an hour and a half or 2 hours today, and hope you can stay for the whole time. And if you weren't able to, we do record these classes. All of the replays are free, and they are up on our YouTube and Facebook channels, and GoToWebinar as well. So you can go back and listen anytime. All right, for those of you in the room, if you brought in a cell phone, if you could please make sure that it's off, that would be appreciated. And online, if you have any tech issues during the broadcast, you can reach out to us in the back end there, just in the chat area or the comments area. Just send a question, and one of us will be happy to help you. I think we're ready to get started, so I'll go ahead and read our title for this morning. And would you like me to read the first key lesson as well? Yes, okay. All right, so here we go. Our topic today is everything you need to know to put your life in perfect order. Sounds good. Here's the key lesson. There's no circumstance in our life, immediate or seemingly inescapable, that isn't perfectly suited to help us change the way we see, understand, and ultimately transcend not just the troubled or otherwise painful moments in our life, but the dark nature within us responsible for their reappearance.
I'm terrified this microphone is going to fall off my head at any second. But nevertheless, we shall persist. Good morning. Hello to you who are joining us from wherever you are, whatever day or time it is. I'm glad that you're here. I want to express, as I should every time I begin to speak, that it is never my intention to confuse your mind. My wish is to bring into it a kind of light that's already there, that by its presence would clarify everything about your experience. And I think the biggest problem that we have, at least at the root of I don't know if you've noticed that trouble seems to follow you around. Have you noticed that at all? But why is it you don't notice that trouble is following you around until it's right in front of you? Why do you wait to meet trouble when you can meet it before it starts and dismiss it before it has a chance to drag you into the world from out of which it's come? So, to get to the point, if you, and we don't have time to do this because it would be kind of fun actually, if you were to design a sweatshirt for yourself, and on the front of the sweatshirt were whatever 3, 4, 5 words there were that would be the best description of you, not as you want to be seen, but as is true of your inner life, what would you put on the front of that sweatshirt? You want to throw out a couple ideas, I'm happy to hear them, but
leave me alone.
Deborah says, leave me alone. All I want is to be left alone. Chris?
Warning, they blow it.
Warning may blow at any moment. Yeah, Ellen.
Handle with care.
Handle with care. Who's that, Babs?
Here comes an anxious wreck.
Here Do you have a tow truck? I need it. So, all right, we got it. Kind of funny, right? But what's at the root of all those things? This was a deep dive Wednesday. We'd look at it. What's at the root of that? I'm going to tell you what needs to be understood, not because I've said so, but because you can see the relationship. Any of those things on the front of anyone's sweatshirt you would be able to agree with, wouldn't you? If you were to write what would be the greatest truth regarding everything that we just mentioned, it would be on the front of your t-shirt, sweatshirt, out of order. And then in small print, proceed with caution. Out of order. What do you think is the source of your anger, the anxiety? What do you think causes you to rush the way it does? Planning, scheming, ever seeking security, trying to get people and places to align with whatever it is that you see as being what? Out of order. How many of us on any given day wake up in the morning, and I watch you sometimes when you come in. I know that you come here as is the right thing to do in one respect, to drink from a well of living water. I understand that. Because you are more often than not dry, empty, wondering what you're supposed to be doing, and then following some path that promises you relief. You sit in your chair and you look out, well, I got nothing. I'm overwhelmed. I'm dry. I'm angry again. My mind is haunted by that dream I had that I can't shake off the effects of it, and I can feel it rifling through my body. Have you ever wondered, and I want you to more deeply than you've ever done, what is the nature of this unrest? Is it not unrest? What is the nature of my grip on the steering wheel where my knuckles are white without me knowing it? What's the nature of me wondering why people are the way they are and what I have to do or what happened in the past that I need to fix now in the present? What is the nature of all that? This irritation. Do you get irritated with people that won't change? Do you? How about the world that won't bend to whatever your vision is of how it's supposed to be? That's a constant source of anger too, isn't it? Here's the great unspoken assumption behind all of that unrest. We believe with no question whatsoever that what's happening shouldn't be happening. One way or the other. I shouldn't be sitting here with a dry heart. How can I resist my own negativity unless something in me is sure I shouldn't be negative? Even though it's proven itself powerless to lift me out of that darkness, I'm still in the midst of that. And the bottom line behind all of that idea that what's happening shouldn't be happening, what I'm feeling, I ought not be feeling, what they're doing, they ought not be doing, what they understand, they really don't. Behind all of that is what? Out of order. We asked before, what's the unspoken thing that goes before you in every moment? I object. I object to what? Out of order. Day's not supposed to start like this. Day's supposed to start like that. And it didn't start like that, and now I'm a wreck for the rest of the day because I'm still trying to catch up to whatever it is I believe got out of order, and now I have to not only deal with what's in front of me, I got to deal with what's behind me and put that into order too. It's a bloody nightmare, isn't it? And because of this conflict that we have with anyone or any moment that challenges the order we've imagined, the very fact that the order I've imagined is threatened in some way, it threatens my security, because where does my security, my happiness derive from other than the order that my mind has established life is supposed to be in, and when it doesn't, hell's to pay. When it does, I'm in heaven. Except my heaven depends upon the conditions remaining ordered the way I've ordered them. Why did they do that? Why is she saying those things again? I've made it so clear that's not the right order of things. You treat me with deference, that's the right order. You do as I say, or there's hell to pay, that's the right order. And if you don't, the right order is that I punish you, and then you acquiesce. And if you don't acquiesce, then leave me alone. And it all runs through the same cycle over and over again. Am I missing the mark or am I hitting it? So for us, this conflict requires what? This is out of order. What's my responsibility when everything's out of order? It's my job. I must put everything back in order, or I'll have hell to pay, not just now, but downstream when everything that's out of order gets into what? Worse order. Am I describing your mind? I know that I am. And so, what's the order of my life? Come on, what's the order? Seeing where things are out of order, judging them, fixing them, and then having to fix them again because it's out of order again. And that's the order of my life. A mind that creates order in its own image, that then struggles with anything that challenges the image and what it's identified with. And then when it challenges the image and what it's identified with, struggling to get people and places and things to go the way I want them to go. Don't you dare vary from what I know is true. Because if you do, what do I do to you? I reorder you. What do you think they do in the concentration camps? What do you think they do in these places where men and women are thrown into institutions because they don't align with what the civil responsibility is as imagined by that culture? They're reordered. I don't know if there's an actual word for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. And that's exactly what we do. How many of you ever give somebody a hard look? Put your hands in the air. Why are you giving them the hard look? Well, no, first, you need to know you're out of order. And let me make it very clear. I want to be perfectly frank. You're out of order. And just look at me and you'll know and feel the great fear required for you to get back into step with what it is that I see you should be. And we do the same thing with our past. We just don't see it. It's pretty obvious with people that I demand you be the way I want because that's the right order of things. And if you step out of order, I feel disturbance, and it's my job to make sure that you get back into order so that all is well with me again. But what about the past? Do you not wake up sometimes, or are you not triggered by a certain thought that visits you from an unresolved relationship in the past? And when it's there, what do you feel? Resistance? Yes or no? 5, 10, 20, 50 years ago. Resistance, immediate resistance. Why? Because something came along and said, remember that? And I do remember that. And it's out of order. I object. And the minute that I know it's out of order, what's my job to do now with what happened to me 50 years ago? What's my job? I have to put it back into order. Except it's difficult when some people are already dead. You know, it's hard to put dead people back into order. Isn't it? But it doesn't stop you from trying. It doesn't. You still think about people in your past that hurt you. You're still trying to figure out how to get rid of whatever that suffering is, that so-and-so or that unexpected moment produced in you, and your mind goes back to it, and you follow it blindly, believing that if you just revisit what has made you feel like a victim enough times, you will get everything in the right order again. And as I love to say sometimes, how's that going? Is it going? So here's a nature that I don't know believes I am order. You don't believe that about yourself. Not for a split second do you believe that. I am order. How do I know I'm order? You step out of order, it's clear to me. The moment doesn't unfold the way it's supposed to unfold, it's evident someone, God, love you, but, you know, it wasn't supposed to happen like that. So who's the big chief of all order? Who is it? No, it's not you, but there's something in our conscience. Well, if, Ellen, are you the chief of all order? Yes. How about you, Chris? You're not? Holy mother of pearl. Tony says, I am. Chris, you find problems with everyone and everything that doesn't line up to what you think they're supposed to be. So are you not the queen of all things orderly? Yes. But wait a minute, you can't be. That's out of order. I'm the one who's in charge of order. What about you, Debbie? Phew. What about the people in Spain, Luis? Yeah. Tony, how about those Cubans? Oh, brother. Eric, what about the people on Venus? Well, how can you be the one that knows what order is if I'm the one? And that's the point. There's just an unconscious nature that has decided long ago for itself, from itself, that it knows how things go, and if it doesn't, hell's to pay. And imagine this. You don't have to imagine it. See, every last human being on this planet is the king of order, the queen of order. Now, if every last human being was actually the king or the queen of order, and we all understood what order was, would there be conflict? Would there? Is there conflict? Unending conflict. So we're looking at a fact, evident to me, that something in our nature that we do not know and that we do not see go before us, having determined what order is, to pronounce with great summary judgment, you're out of order, and now I must restore order by fixing you, fixing my past, fixing my future. Because you can't look at a future that you fear unless the image you have of that future is out of order with what you've imagined. Can you see that? That's not too complicated, is it? I'm thinking about the future. Oh man, what if this and what if that? And I get anxious, I get nervous. Do you ever get anxious or nervous about the future? So many things unanswered. Holy mother of pearl. How can I be in pain over something that hasn't happened unless my mind first imagines the order in which it must unfold, and then, having imagined that, lives in fear it won't unfold the way it's imagined? That's called tension, isn't it? How many of you are tense, Barbara? Yes. So, quick summary of the first, 15 minutes. And you have to see this. What's going to happen when I'm not with you to remind you? I have to see for a fact. The world is not out of order. Is it struggling? It's a mess. That man that I hate, the woman that I resent, that situation I'm terrified of, that it might happen again, none of that is out of order. What's out of order is the nature that sees things as being out of order and then resists its own perception. That's what's out of order. I'll prove this to you. I have to, because you don't believe it. You're quite sure that something's wrong with someone somewhere and that you have to carry around with you this account book. Just before the talk started, I was thinking, well, how can I bring the people in early into this idea? And then I'll get you to agree with something that's in complete contradiction with your own assumption, if you'll see it. Is there ever a moment that isn't new? Is there ever a moment that isn't new? Now, you know, spiritually speaking, that the great Creator continues to bring into this world the energies that act upon what has been created, finishing creation over and over again, and then revealing the perfection of a new birth, so that life never stops giving birth to itself, and that every rebirth is the newness of something that was designed to become renewed through creation. Yes or no? It's always new. Do you agree with that? Well, if it's always new, how can it be out of order? This is the problem. Because inward I say, I know, I love God, I love Christ, I love the truth. Everything's new. I'm a ball of light dancing on a lake someplace. And then suddenly I turn into a lead weight, falling beneath the waters, being enfolded and feeling like I'm drowning again. And it's the queerest thing. Our negative reaction to any given moment does what? What does your negative reaction do to any moment that you don't want? What does it do to that moment? It proves it's out of order. So my hatred of what you've said or done proves that I know what order is. Does hatred know anything about order? Or is hatred the misbegotten son of a demand on life that when it's not met, all one knows to do is to turn to rage to try to prove that I'm right and you're wrong? Please, do you see it? And what happens when this nature, when resistance to the past, the present moment, the person serving me in the God, it's so quick. Here's somebody, they're standing behind a counter. And they've been on their feet. You ever go to Costco? God help us. And there's 60, 70-year-old women. I shouldn't say it because I'm 76 now myself. But here's 70-year-old women standing on a hard concrete surface, putting little pieces of potato chips in cups so that you can walk by and disregard them altogether, or have a bite and walk away, not liking it. So my immediate assumption when I'm negative is that what I'm negative over is out of order. And as soon as I'm negative, that negativity, by the fact of where it comes from, where does the negativity come from? Please, if you're following me, the assumption, I'm order. I know what order is. Can you have a negative reaction without believing that you know what order is? So here comes this judgment. And what does the judgment do? It establishes that I know what order is, and that I know that you, them, this or that is out of order, that he should have never, they should have never. And as soon as all that's established, quite clear to me, then my task becomes to do what? I need to somehow or other step into that moment and change what it is that I see as being the grievance. When this nature itself is out of order, it sees itself and resists the revelation of itself. It sees itself and resists the revelation of itself. Because if it were ever to see that it doesn't know what order is, if you're angry, if you're afraid, if you have any lingering negative state, something that follows you from the past that punishes you, unbeckoned, we call it involuntary, remember? If something involuntarily comes up and you're negative, it's because in that moment, not only are you out of order, but what is out of order has convinced you to think about that again so that it can establish its order. And then it'll always come up with something, doesn't it? This is what we call compromise. It'll always come up with something that lets you get through the moment. Real order doesn't have compromise in it. In this world, I'm the first to tell you, there are places we have to make compromises. It's impossible not to. But in your spiritual life, it's not so. Now, how do we know that this nature, to whatever degree we do, is out of order? How can we know that this nature is out of order? For one thing, the only way you'll ever actually know it's out of order is when a new order within you sees it. That's the only way you'll ever know. I can talk till the cows come home. Men and women with some degree of enlightenment have been speaking for millions of years, quite literally, and it all goes by the wayside because you hear it, and then your mind that is the source of disorder takes into it an idea that allows you to momentarily identify with something that makes you feel like, now I know what order is. What's that saying? There's no I in order. Is there an I in order? Or is order the manifestation of a real I that doesn't need to try to organize things because it's the life of organization itself, if you're following me? Physics confirms everything we're talking about. What is the natural divine order of all the creatures that we're surrounded here in beautiful South Philadelphia? Wholeness. We can see beyond the shadow of a doubt that even though we don't see the moving parts, we're aware of the fact that the order of things is that by the grace of whatever it is that put this little blue ball suspended in space somewhere in the distant corner of the universe, where its poor inhabitants are almost never subjected to any real living light, still, even in that little place, here comes this sunlight from our great soul. S-O-L, here comes sun. And what does the sunlight do when it comes into this world? If you can see it, for one thing, sunlight coming into this world is acting on all the creatures that are themselves formations of light made over time. Every living thing is made of light, congealed light. That's what matter is. So here comes this great active force, and it comes into this creature, the grass, the tree, the bird, the bee, me, you. And when that light comes in, what does that light do? We've talked about it 1,000 times. That light active comes in, and here's this creation. And this creation, even though it thinks it's perfect, itself isn't perfect, but it is part of a perfection that was brought into existence when God gave the world existence. So it touches me, it stirs me. This energy comes in and it touches what is passive, right? Now, anything that is touched by this active energy that's passive does what? Well, there's a natural resistance to it, but something reconciles the resistance that it feels. If the sunlight just hit the blade of grass and there weren't something that just resisted it, that blade of grass would never grow. So something reconciles the relationship between the will of the sun and the will of the earth in physical terms. Because if it didn't reconcile it, then what? There would be no conception. So here's the light of the sun. It comes into the blade of grass. The minute it comes into the blade of grass, something dies, something is born, and something lives. The minute sunlight touches anything, something dies. It has to pass. It's being acted on. Something lives, no doubt about it. We can see creation continuing, and something is reborn. And if it weren't reborn in a new form as a result of that relationship, there'd be no creation. And by the way, if there were no creation like that, there would be no revelation of the maker of all of that, which is where we come into play. Did I go too fast? Did you follow me, everybody? So even though we can see this, and we can also agree that there would never be a new conception unless in the midst of that there weren't some kind of transformation taking place. Yes or no? Because isn't that what the transformation is? Here comes sunlight. Here comes something waiting for the sunlight, and it is. And when it takes the sunlight in, and this is a whole topic I can't go into too deeply, it absorbs some of that energy for the purposes useful to the creature and its relationship, and the rest of that energy it deflects. And if it didn't deflect that energy, you wouldn't see color. You wouldn't see light. There'd be no relationship between all of these creations because everything would just be this black mess, this stool sitting someplace. So I see it. I get it. Here's this life. It comes in and it transforms whatever it's touching. And the act of the transformation is the rebirth of what is transformed. What was formerly alive now has a new life, because part of it was given up to take that new form, and part of it became something new so that creation could continue. Enough said on that? So all of these creatures, can we see it, is in fact, all of them are ordered and live in an order established by an invisible relationship between heaven and earth. Is that too much of a reach? Can you see it? What happened to us? The tree goes, no, that's not the right order of things right now. I'm a little tired. Don't bother me. What happened to us? If everything is reborn, if everything is living and dying and being reborn moment to moment, as you should be able to see, as above, so below, why isn't that true of a human being? What's keeping me from knowing that I am forever living, dying, and being reborn? And the answer is because that's not the order of the world that I live in. I live in a completely different order where I imagine life, I give myself the sensation of it, and then when conditions go and I feel like I'm dying, then in that moment I give birth to myself through another order that I've imagined will rescue me from the failed order that I have. Do you see this? This is very deep. Katie, you following me? Okay. She said, So here is the great Son with a capital S, the will of the Father, acting on the will of the Son, the sacrificial lamb, creation. And we know that creation has its own will. That which exists is not going, gee, I can't wait to change. I can't wait to give up some part of myself, not knowing what part is going to come out of that. It's not interested in that. But we know from all the scriptures, east and west, that here's this relationship, and what happens when the will of the Father acts upon when the will of is the will of the Creator acts upon the creation, that which is intended for it to act on so that it can give itself up. What does it do? Not my will, but thy will. I understand the order. I understand the order. And because I understand the order, I won't fight with it. I won't set myself against the fact that what you are asking me and showing me that I need to do and become, I won't fight with that, because I can see if I fight with it, I'm fighting with it because I know the order of things. I know how life is supposed to be. And if there was ever evidence that you don't know how life should be, look at your life. You know, I do interviews, a lot of interviews. And it always comes down to the same thing. Nobody wants to look at their life, because if you look at your life unadorned, if you don't measure it and compare it to the plan you have where the order will finally assume its proper place and then everything will be perfect, you get rid of the future, you don't have a life. You have a storm that you don't understand, because the storm is part of the order. The storm is part of this constant disturbance that takes place when what is active touches what is passive. And out of that disturbance comes a new creation, but not for us. Out of the disturbance between life acting on us and the part of us that already knows how it should be, what comes out of that moment? Does something new come out of that moment? Yes or no? Katie, does something new come out of that moment? Or does what comes out of that moment is the continuation of a nature that insists everything should be the way it's imagined it should be? That's what comes out, isn't it? Not rebirth, but reincarnation. Not renewal, but rather the reoccurrence of a nature that insists on reestablishing itself and creating the order so that it can live in perpetual purgatory. Perpetual purgatory, because it never stops fighting with what it's being asked to see. And instead of seeing what it is being shown by that relationship, all it can see is what? You're out of order. This is the right order. Here's what has to happen. And then your life goes merrily, merrily downstream until it hits the next waterfall. Can you see this with me? So here we understand this idea, as above, so below. You've heard that, right? The will of the divine acts on the will of the Son. And that there's something critical to the next section here. There's something that allows these two seemingly opposing forces to be integrated and give birth to something new. Do we see it or not? It's like a celestial midwife, the Holy Spirit. It brings together and is present to the moment when these forces are relating to one another and ensures that one will pass as it must, one will be conceived, and then there will be a life that will be the ground of the next relationship between these forces. Everybody still following me? Bring up the second key lesson, please. This is a bit. Bring up the second key lesson, please. It's up there. I got the old one. I've yet to learn that trick that I don't see right away what goes up there. This is a bit of a summary. Read along with me. Any form of continuous conflict is evidence of a world, a system, of a level of self that's out of order. Any form of continuous conflict, any form of continuing negativity, any form of repetitive fear, you can fill in the blanks, is what? It's the evidence of, look at our world, out of order. Look at the systems that have generated the world that we are living in, out of order. And where did the system and the world that's out of order get the system and the evidence of this other than from a consciousness that has created the world in its own image out of order? Now, do you need to be an Einstein? Because I think some of us really don't. You kind of agree with me sitting here, but do you think you'll get angry today? Do you? Yes or no? Say it out loud so people don't think to themselves, so you're some kind of spiritual group. You're not. There's no spiritual group. True or not, I'm going to look at you today and get irritated. True or not? What are you going to think? What's making you think and feel that way towards someone and giving them the disapproval look? What's you looking back at your past, some problem, feeling this pain? No, my pain proves I'm in order. I couldn't judge you if I weren't the embodiment of order itself. So the last thing that we think when we're negative is what? That, holy cow, something's out of order. Now just stop for a minute. What if we just stopped right there? Said nothing else. So that you knew when you feel stressed, anxious, rushing, busybody, gossiping, making another plan. When you knew in that moment, what's going to happen? If you knew in that moment you were out of order, could you continue down that trail trying to enforce order on something that doesn't exist as out of order without you having those demands? Do you understand? So that would be pretty big, wouldn't it? Oh. Out of order. Say, oh. Not negative oh. Oh. No, that's out of order. Oh. That's a revelation. It's out of order. God, if one of you could do that, it would be a bloody miracle. Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm late. What's going to happen? Oh. Wow. All I could see for a moment was that there was a problem with you, them, and this, and now I recognize the reason I see a problem isn't because you're out of order, but because something is out of order in me. So here's a great insight to help you with, write it down. We've talked about this before, but we'll go deeper. Resistance is identification. Resistance is identification. Again, completely contrary to what most of us think. We think when we resist a moment we don't want, that's out of order, that our resistance somehow proves that that thing is indeed out of order, and that our resistance separates us from this thing that's out of order so that we, in our magnificence, can then act on what is out of order, get everything great again. Right, Sarah? Yeah. I have to check in with everybody from time to time. Your faces get locked in positions. Did you know that? Just listen. You won't get locked up. You're already locked up. That's the point. So resistance is identification. Resistance doesn't prove I'm different than what I'm identifying with. Resistance proves I'm identified with an order that isn't being met. Right? So if resistance is identification, then that means what? That means resistance is blind. If I actually don't want to see something because I think it shouldn't be that way, all I'm seeing in that moment is the order established by an unconscious nature, and I haven't a chance to see the order of real things, do I? Because the assumption is from my resistance, I'm God. I know what resistance is. I know what it's about, which is out of order. Because this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that you should be, like some Pollyanna, like you see these spiritual, make you want to gag human beings. Love, love, love. I'm a Christian. I'm a this. I'm a that. I love everything. Surrender. All that business. No. If that resistance comes up in you, as it always does, it is a giveaway. It is pointing out to whoever is aware of it well enough that there is something inside of me that has decided what the moment is about that it's looking at. And the moment that mind has made up what that moment is about, it is locked into the sequence of thoughts and feelings that follow, because now I have all these alternatives, these choices, including hating myself. Do you ever get drawn back into the past and find yourself full of anger or resistance or frustration? And then when you find yourself drawn back into the past like that, which can only takes 2 seconds. Have you ever been with somebody and said something you could say, you're this, you go, if I could swallow it back, I would. So here I am. Do I regret what I said, or do I regret that you see I actually was out of order? that my face didn't slip, the order of my life revealed itself. So I was trying to give you an example of this. So we're given to see in the darkness, in those moments of this resistance. Resistance is blindness, yes? All we're given to see in that darkness is the choices that this unconscious nature can offer. So that literally, I see the choices in the moment of my resistance as an act of light. Do you think to yourself, I'm looking at something that's dark? So do you ever think, God, that guy, that's a dark choice? What a fool you would be to think like that. No. When I am given a choice by this resistance that's decided life's out of order, my choices are always what's required to put things back in order. So that I think I am the light, and I think I see order, and I know the choices needed to restore it. You still following me, everybody? So I was thinking, a long time ago, when they were sailing in 14th, 15th, 16th century, pirates were pretty clever. And the most clever of all was the dread pirate Roberts. Never mind. You would have had to see the film. Pirates would establish fake lighthouses. They would put light out there off of a reef so that in a storm, a ship would go, oh, thank God, There's a light. Must be a harbor. And then the ship would do what? Crash against the shoals. And then what would happen after that? Arr. Arr, their riches be their riches. And they get robbed, killed, murdered by the pirates who lured them in by a false light. Ignis fatuus in Latin. A false light. That's exactly what happens when you meet a moment that is out of order. You see what needs to be done by a false light produced by this pirate looting nature that wants to take from you your possibilities, but never even gives you a suspicion that somehow or other that what you're looking at, the compulsion, the insistence, the rushing. Do you ever think to yourself, I'm rushing? Do you ever think to yourself, I'm rushing towards my own doom? Would anybody rush to their own doom? And please don't misunderstand this. It's important to see. When you rush to your own doom, it seems like that's unfolding in time. And that you rush, doom, rush, doom, rush, doom, rush, doom, rush, doom. And that you find yourself in the doom that you rush to, and you go, well, thank God now I've learned. But did you learn? Or is the next thing that you rush to, that false light, there the minute the darkness comes and compels you to do what? Save myself, save the order that I know is true. So you've got rush, doom, rush, doom, rush, doom. And if you put that all together, which you have to do, you have to see that over time, this nature, the nature that we agreed is all of our nature, that's what it is doing, that's what it has done. It is rushed to its doom. Because it creates time in which it will reestablish order. Why was Satan, which by the way isn't the story that you think it is, but what happened that something was booted out of heaven? What was the grief of that angelic force? It knew what beauty was, it knew what order was, and it wanted to be the king of its own order and recognized as being beautiful on itself. So here's the deal. We can see if we can, and this is important, it's a kind of a transition. The problem that we have isn't just our false conclusions. Because we can see we come to false conclusions, do we not? The problem isn't the false conclusions. The problem is that we take them as being true and that we then defend them. Because that's the order of things for us. So the problem is even deeper than the false conclusion and the defense of them, isn't it? What's the even deeper problem to the false conclusion and the defense of that conclusion? What's the deeper problem still? The level of consciousness that comes to that conclusion and defends it. That's what's out of order. This is the secret of the ages. I swear to God it is. The secret of the ages that no one knows, let alone can speak to. Every one of us thinks because we can imagine a time to come when we will be whole and happy and illuminated and reborn and all of the things. Even if I have to die, at least it's waiting for me. The whole thing is out of order because it belongs to a nature that fell out of order and made its own order. And you don't have to reference Bibles or anything like that to understand it. Let me show you an example. If you're willing to see it, I don't know, I'm looking at a lot of resistant faces now. Here I am, I'm in love, I've got a job, I lost weight, I don't have a six-pack yet, but I got one beer can down there, things are looking good, a new hair came on my head, something, and then I brushed it and it came out. And everything's great, and then I get you on the phone, God, or I have to talk to you, oh God. And what happens? Yeah, and then I start to fall. It's not a big fall. It could be any fall. I start to fall. Now what happens in the moment where turns into What happens? Next thing I know is things aren't quite orderly. Things aren't quite orderly. You're not quite in the pocket yet. This isn't quite perfect the way it's supposed to be. I don't have everything nailed down for 10 minutes from now. And I start to fall, don't I? Yes or no? Yeah. I start to get stressed, anxious, yes or no? And when I start to get stressed and anxious, what happens? Now I have to strengthen and reestablish the order that I've started to fall out of. But have I fallen out of order, or is the order that I was in what was mistaken, and nothing that it can do can reestablish anything other than the strength it has in its grip of me? So the littlest thing is the whole thing, if you can see this. So there's something in us, in this consciousness, that lives in darkness and calls itself the light. But we never suspect there's something in us that lives in darkness, because in something in us calls itself the light. You can't judge someone or something without believing you are the light superior to the darkness you judge. So something in us, believes it's the light, and when something challenges the belief that it has, it can fall back into a justification that proves to itself it knew. It just didn't know enough in that moment, and now it is the light again, because now it's learned from its mistakes. Yay or nay? But the solutions are what? The solutions are what? Do the solutions to me fighting with you with my past, do the solutions change you? Do they? Do they change me? For the better, let's put it that way. They change me, because the further you go, the darker it becomes. No, everything about this nature, and this is what we can't even bear to hear, is out of order. You know, if your mind was required for you just to have an average day, you wouldn't have one. You don't sit and think through, and I'm going to put sugar and a little cream in my coffee, and then I'm going to go to my car, hope the keys are... You don't do that. You just... If I could do that robot dance, I would. My day just goes. It's a machine. And part of the machinery lives from the assumption that everything that the machine does and follows in order will prove itself to be orderly, and everything will be honky-dory. Except there's a problem with honky-dory, isn't there? So this part of us that never suspects itself, this is what people don't like. You say, I got enough problems, Guy. I'm already paranoid. You're saying I should suspect myself? I'm going to this meeting, that there's this deadline, that I got this news, that my health is what? And I should suspect myself when I'm so rock solid in my certainty? What is your certainty? Your certainty is that's out of order, or that's orderly, and thank God I now must protect it at all costs. So regardless of whether it's out of order and I live in fear of it being out of order, I live in the fear that the order I believe is right has to stay in place, or I've lost everything. Please? Fear is out of order, isn't it? You can read Scripture. God has not given us the spirit of fear. But where is that idea in the moment when it's necessary? I got to go on. Picture a great knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, and he has gone on a great M-I-S-S-I-O-N. To save a what? A P-R-I-N-C-E. All these stories are the same. Something separates, something seeks to be reunited, so that in the reintegration the kingdom is made whole again. All the same story. So here's our brave knight going to rescue the princess from a very evil wizard. But the very evil wizard has overthrown every last one of the knights that's come, because the very evil wizard has a really big fat dragon. I mean a really fat dragon. It can't walk, it rolls. No. I want you to see this. Big, black, dark, fat dragon just rolls along, breathing fire every rotation. And all the knights have been what? When they meet the big dragon, what happens to them? They're rolled over. Just like you are bowled over. So here's our knight, our hero knight, representing the part of us that can understand this teaching. And it goes to save the princess, and here comes the big fat rolling dragon. Try to imagine these folds of scales and skin. And he's going to put his sword, he wouldn't even feel it, but the dragon rolls right on him. Now he's lying. Now he's under the dragon on his face with his head like this. And what's he thinking? Okay, this is it. And he hears a voice, I knew you wouldn't win. Before you start, I tried to tell you. Have you ever heard that? I told you no. Don't get involved in that. You don't have what it takes. Any one of those voices, yes or no? So it's all talking to him. And he's sitting there, and it's talking to him. What's he doing? It's trying to push the fat, push the folds of the dark dragon away. So he's struggling with what? He's struggling with what is encompassing him, isn't he? All of his strength is going into what? Resistance. And resistance eventually fades into something that insists you're dead in the water, no point in trying. But he's a knight of a different order. Because he's going through all that, through the darkest moment, something in him, something in you, I pray to God it's there. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't. Instead of succumbing to his own despairing thoughts, another thought comes to him. And it is, maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. Maybe I shouldn't be struggling to part the folds of the dragon. And it comes to him, and he for a split second, he stops struggling. And when he stops struggling for just a microsecond, under all that fat dragon, he sees a tiny bit of light. And then the dragon rolls again and the light's gone. But he saw something that he can't get out of his head. He saw that all there was not just the darkness, but that in the darkness there was a kind of light. And if he would move toward the light instead of moving against the dragon and its enveloping darkness, then maybe he would have a chance to escape the dragon and win the princess and win the kingdom. Are you following the little story? I have to make it brief. So he stops struggling. And his entire intention changes. Because his struggle was now to try to get the dragon off of him. That's not the effort anymore, to get the dragon off of him. Now the effort is to move toward the light that he saw, even though he may not see it now. Have you not had moments where you've seen something true, and then it went away because the dragon rolled over you? But something in you can remember, can't it, that you saw something that had nothing to do with the darkness that was enveloping you, but rather what you saw was something of the nature of the darkness that had been enveloping you, like we're talking about now. Please, I've got to move along quickly. And then a miracle happens. And I have no other way to describe this. Believe me, if you knew how much time I spent trying to say things to you so that you could grasp them, a miracle happens. It was hinted at in the story of the prodigal son. What happened in the prodigal son when he turned around? His father, seeing him at a great distance, met him halfway. A miracle happens the night. He can't believe it, but as he tries to move towards the light that he saw, the light that he saw is moving towards him. Fact. When you hold in your heart the wish to understand, in spite of the darkness that surrounds you, your wish to understand attracts and brings to you the understanding that invited you to start that process to begin with. Let's go to this. I'm running out of time. Let's go to the key question, please. Please consider this. Where does what we know is good, by any other name, a divine spirit that releases us from our fears and doubts by revealing them as a lie, where does what we know is good, where does this living light go when everything in our life turns dark? Have you not, in your own spiritual life, had a moment where, whatever it was, a glimpse of this, a taste of that, a revelation that released you, have you not had that moment? Well, where is that light when the dragon rolls over you? Where is that light when the dragon rolls over you? Do you understand? You don't even think about that light in that moment? Because all I'm busy doing is trying to get the weight of the moment off of me. Get the fear that I failed again somehow out of sight. Beg the dragon, please don't hurt me, which is what you do every time you listen to a fear tell you how to solve a problem. Where is that light gone? If, as it was true with the night, he said, as he moved toward the light moved him. Where is that light gone? This is what you have to understand. It hasn't gone anywhere. Hasn't gone anywhere. The light dwelleth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. And just because we're momentarily identified with that dark dragon that has rolled over us with its despair and its regrets, convincing us that we can't do anything of ourselves, just because it's done that in the moment doesn't mean the light's gone. This is what, by the grace of God, you have to remember. It's not fancy. You have to remember that in the midst of the despair, the light isn't gone. It's you that have your eyes on something trying to reestablish the light it says is order. It's there. You have to remember it. You have to remember it. You have to remember that God did not put the spirit of fear in you. You have to remember that the task is not to hate your brother, but to love him. You have to remember the truth. And if you remember the truth, that means for a moment your attention has left what is resisting by a nature that says that's out of order, and it's a nature accepting the invitation of the revelation. And what's the invitation? Let me get back into order. Let me do what I must do to bring the right order back into being. And to bring the right order back into being is not an effort. It doesn't require you trying to fix or change anything. The right effort begins with remembering and seeing, you know what? I'm so negative. I'm dry. I'm dead. Wait a minute. If I listen to that and I live from that, I will remain, in fact, seeking solutions born out of my suffering. Instead of understanding, the light wants me to see what? That in each moment, to remember that light, that truth, that moment brings me into a relationship with the light that transforms the moment, because it releases me from the illusion that the moment was dark to begin with. That's incomprehensible, isn't it? Honestly. What the hell, guy? What do you mean the moment wasn't dark? That's all I felt. I was dead. I was dead and now I live. Suddenly I remember. And when I remember, the remembrance is the recollection. The remembrance is to remember myself, bring myself back into another order of being where I find out, which is what you have to do. No matter how dark it may seem, this light waits for you to remember it. And it waits where? Where does the kingdom of heaven dwell? Is there a distance between yourself and the kingdom of heaven? Does it take time for you to establish yourself as someone seeking the kingdom of heaven? Or is the relationship already intact? It's intact. And if it's intact, that means the light that you need to enter into this transformation that is order itself. Rebirth is order. Order is rebirth. As above, so below. That means the light is there right now. The indwelling Christ, the living light, there right now. can I remember, listen, not to console myself with a spiritual idea, but to recognize that anything that's talking to me and telling me I'm lost, I can't, I won't, this is going to be forever, that belongs to an order that the minute I see it as being false aligns me with the truth that revealed it. And then let me, like the good night, move toward the light. Isn't that a line from a movie? Go to the light. You don't have to go to the light. You just have to hold it. And the more you see it, the more it will reveal that it was never apart from you, and the whole illumination will take place. And what happened when the good night began to move toward the light? What do you think happened when he finally emerged from under that dark dragon? What do you think happened to the dragon? Poof. He could see it was never real to begin with. As you will see that the dragons that you face aren't real, but you make them real by demanding somehow or other that the order you established is the right order. There's another order. Seek it. Let's take a break.
All right, welcome back to the second part of our class. We're just about to get started with our Q&A discussion with Guy. Of course, if you're in the room, you know that you can come up to the mic anytime. Just pop on up here and you can speak at the mic. If you're online on GoToWebinar, if you want to talk with Guy directly, you can raise your hand, click or tap the hand icon, and I'll come up and unmute you, and then you can speak with Guy. You can also send in a question if you wish, or a comment that if you want me to come up here and read it, I'll do that for you. Same with Facebook and YouTube. You can send a comment or question in the chat area there, and I'll be glad to come up and read it. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know about a special promotion we have going on right now. So I think most people know Life of Learning Foundation here in Oregon is a nonprofit foundation, and we rely on the support of our donors and sales of Guy's materials. Everything that we get from those sources just goes right back into the work that we do here at the foundation, putting on classes like these for free on all of our platforms and making this work available to you, these ideas available to you all over the world. And so we do welcome donations. If you're able to support us in our efforts, we would appreciate it. And we like to, when we're able to do it, provide a thank you, if you wish, a sort of a thank you gift. And we have right now, if you make a donation of $10 or more, we're going to give you access to a really special e-course called The Divine Journey. And I just sent out an email about this a couple of days ago and wrote about it. What I really love about this e-course, and I said in this email that I sent, is that I feel like it's really for aspirants to the higher life. It's sort of a powerful little e-course. It's 7 talks that are just 10 minutes each. Guy recorded them in a studio, and they're chock full of stories and principles and ideas and insights and things that you can really take with you into your day. You can literally write down one sentence and work with it all day long and learn something about the divine journey. I just wanted to read really quick one of the things that I remember from it, because it goes right along with today's talk, having to do with, out of order. So there was a line in here where Guy said, all traditions in the East and West point out 3 distinct stages of realization through which the aspirant must pass: false self-certainty, uncertainty, and a new kind of certainty. Each of these stages is unique in its character, and none can be skipped. All 3 stages are required, or nothing real can grow. So things like that, that are just so powerful, and where Guy really expands on that journey for an aspirant. So if you're able to support us, again, you can make a $10 donation, and you'll just get access to that right away. There are actually 2 bonus webinars, 90-minute bonus webinars that go with it as well. And you can go to guyfinley.org/package, and that will redirect you to the page where you can make the donation and learn a little bit more about it. All right, we're going to get started with the Q&A, but first, Guy wants to read. There was a summary key lesson that he wants to share.
Yes, if you'd bring it up. There was so much, went a little long, and I didn't want to bring up the last key lesson and talk about that, so here we are. Let me know, can I see it? There it is. This summarizes what we talked about. Resistance is involuntary, yes or no? Yes. And suffering over it is useless, yes or no? Yes. But here's why choosing to consciously bear ourselves is always useful. Even the smallest sincere effort to seek the light hidden in the darkness within us helps us to see and realize the timeless truth at the heart of self-liberation. There's nothing to escape and no one who's actually bound. There's nothing to escape and no one who's actually bound. So that's why I had that idea of, because it means in that moment that I'm going from the resistance to what I think is out of order to understanding the need to see the nature that's out of order. The need to repent, as Christ said, to turn around. and to use the vision that is given to one to become aware of the whole of oneself. You don't escape your problems. You can't. You see that they only exist because of a problem-making nature. That's the difference. And the clearer that becomes to you, the more likely you are in the moment where you're sure a problem has appeared to do what? What do you say? Oh. Like, oh, I didn't see that before. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, what a revelation. Oh, what a night. Why? Because now my attitude is born out of the wish to learn and discover instead of an attitude predetermined by meeting moments it doesn't want, that the problem's with the moment and not itself.
All right, we have a couple of hands up in the queue, and I'm going to make a quick note. For those of you who come online to speak, if you could do us a favor and do your best to sit still, sit back a little bit from your computer or phone and talk directly into the mic. It helps us on our end to hear you better. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with Jill. I'm going to unmute you and you can talk with Guy.
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Jill.
So I have a question. Is it a part of this work to have such disinterest, like in quotes, life events? Not like in a depression sort of way, but in a like can't go further way? Or is it just like a trick of the part that's out of order?
I didn't quite catch the first part. To lose interest, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I know this is shocking. You're a seed. In the seed is the possibility of a self. You think you're it, and that the life that you have imagined, which you didn't imagine, then the order that established it is yours. That's nonsense. I've always said this. You're supposed to have 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 lifetimes in the short span of your physical existence. Lifetimes that were born out of seeing this life can't go on that way. That's it. I can't do it. I don't know what the heck's going to happen to me, but I can't do that. Maybe a traumatic injury comes along. Something it's inescapable. It just shows you, well, I guess that's the end of that. Then you don't sit there and double down, go back to the same thing that produced it. You realize, something's trying to get through. How many of you have a hard head? I do. If my head wasn't as hard as it is, I'd be dead already. No, something's trying to get through. Invitation after invitation after invitation. But for us, we think the invitation is to fix the last party that didn't work out the way it was supposed to. No, the invitation is to see that you keep providing for yourself this promised plan, this land you're going to get to where everything can be perfect, so that you have established the order. Even if I could do it, if I could talk and reveal the opposites, one part showing this part and the other part showing, if I could do it, it still wouldn't work. We're in a body. We grew up in a culture. We had mom and dad, whatever they were. We had brothers and sisters or friends and family, whatever it was. And we were inculcated as part of a culture. There's natural parts to a culture. And to whatever extent one believes that it's true, They have a responsibility. But the responsibility has to be mitigated. So that if you believe the sole responsibility is to ensure that the order that your father and mother told you is what it means to have an orderly life, you're dead in the water. Because then all you're doing is bringing a model from the past into the present, constantly being acted on, and then you believing the problem's the present moment instead of you clinging to a past and believing that's who you are. It has to go. One must lose their life to find it. These aren't my teachings, for God's sake. And I have to lose my life. But I don't, do this with me, but I don't want to. But I don't want to. I want to lose it when it's not right. Because I know what right is, and that's not right. I rushed to do something. And I made a mess of it. Or even if I didn't make a mess of it, and even though I rushed through it and I succeeded, I can taste it. I know that needs to go. There'll never be freedom. There's no freedom you're ever going to rush to. Freedom is from the nature that believes it has somewhere to go and be something other than itself. That's what freedom is. And you see that. And if you see it clearly, the action of dying to yourself is built into the awareness. It's done. And something has to fall off. And the more you work, the more things fall off. And the more things fall off, meaning the dragon rolls and you catch a glimpse of that light, of that new understanding, you move towards, you embrace that understanding regardless the cost to you, then that light moves towards you. And then one day comes, and I know you just have to, you will see it, or you hopefully have something. You'll understand that any time you give your attention to the indwelling light, to the awareness and the need for what you are really asked to do, it's there already and it's given to you freely. Ask and you will receive. And you actually understand there's never a moment that's not like that. Not ask and you receive the reestablishment of the order that makes things right. Ask and you receive the revelation of everything that is in the way of you receiving what you need. And then it's given to you. And eventually your mind opens in such a way that it's a pure channel. It's very clear. You are never not in relationship with that light. You are never not. Even when you go to sleep, just like that, the moment you awaken, like the night in our story, suddenly there's the light. And then you move towards it.
Good morning. My name is Katie. Kind of called me out in class, and I thought, I probably take in a solid 30% of what's being said live.
Well, that's pretty good. That's,
So
that's better than I do.
But I love that, and I love going back over the talks, and it always feels like a new talk, even if I listen to it 4 or 5, 6 weeks in a row.
As it should be, because actually it is.
Yeah.
If every moment's new,
Yeah.
and something's actually, I'm agreeing as best I can to be part of that, then I have new ears and new eyes, not just a set of new ears and new eyes, but a new relationship produced by them.
Yeah. I think I can't be the only beginner. Probably you guys aren't, but maybe somebody online is.
Oh no, you're looking at, believe me.
We're all beginners.
Yes, we are.
So I have to put in a plug for the Wisdom's Path set. I've been doing a deep dive on it, and it's just been, I think it's the nature of the stories and the way that they speak to us. It's all kind of come together. I think one of the things I love about these classes is that I can sit here and feel like I'm not even really maybe understanding fully, but then, it's somewhere, it's in there. And in the moment when I need it, suddenly it comes to me.
It's kind of a miracle, isn't it?
It is a miracle.
Yeah, it is.
And it's happened to me a lot this week in particular, so I'm super grateful. Everything is coming together. This talk today kind of blends in with the classic talk from Wednesday, and the talk I was working on with Wisdom's Path number 6. It's all come together, and it's stop struggling. And it's such a beautiful, feeling to like realize, number one, that I am struggling almost constantly, and to just go, gosh, I just need to step into the river of life and it's going to happen, right? It's all going to happen, and I just need to let it. And gosh, that feels so much better than trying to paddle, even as you said in the
Trying to get big dragons off your back, Katie, is a real schlep, isn't it?
It's heavy.
Yeah, it is. It's
I'm
heavy.
tired of carrying it.
It ain't heavy. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Is the wisdom's path, is that audio?
That was we recorded you 10 talks, half hour each, and they were spiritual stories.
Oh, the story, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great one, too. If you want to know more about it, let me know, and I can tell you how to get it. And we actually just put all of it on downloadable video, put in a little plug there. So, all right, we have a couple of hands up and a couple of questions. Guy, I sent you a question from Annette, so let's go to that.
Okay, doke.
Annette asks, is it human nature to focus on the problem, be judgmental, and be future-oriented? Is there light in every situation?
Yep. You know, the Native Americans that this consciousness in its time and in its form decimated, didn't think of us as human beings. A human being lived in harmony, not with hatred towards anything that upset the order they had imagined was necessary to rule themselves and the world. So on one hand, Annette, is it human nature? A real human being doesn't hate. A real human being doesn't have enemies. A real human being. And a real human being is a human being that is in concert with the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, with the endless process of being reborn. So that a real human being, inseparable from the ceaseless transformation, which is life, death, and rebirth, a real human being doesn't have a past to look at as a measurement of how the present should be. Everything is just appearing and disappearing. The light of what is true changes what needs to be revealed as incomplete. Not wrong, incomplete. See, you think you're wrong. And you hate yourself when you're wrong because somehow you don't believe you should be, because that's not part of the order you live in. Human beings are incomplete. They're incomplete because they live outside of the relationship with the divine that never stops bringing about their completion through transformation, rebirth. So when you even start to understand that a little bit, you don't judge others. You understand that's the best they can do. You don't try, and this is a talk that's coming up. I did this really nice interview with a gal named Michelle. It came in the last moment. I couldn't talk about it. You're trying to forgive yourselves. You can't forgive yourself. That's insanity. That's insanity. Who are you to forgive yourself? Let alone, in quotes, forgive another human being in your majesty. Everything that you think needs to be forgiven is that out of order mind visiting something that was out of order, resisting itself, and then wanting to forgive itself as part of being out of order, believing it will establish order and free itself if it could just forgive itself. Now I don't have to give that talk. Go and sin no more. Go and miss the mark no more. Go and be a human being. What's that saying? Not a human doing, not a human buzzing, not a human eating, not a human hating. Eating? How many of you are human eatings? So net, on the other hand, it is this fallen nature. What it calls, I try to say this, what this nature calls order is letting something trigger a problem it had that was never resolved, and in the triggering of that reaction, looking at the condition that triggered it as the problem, and then trying to reestablish order over what it brought up as being out of order. And that's its order in life. Its order is reincarnation. That's what Buddha was talking about. That's why Christ said, you either are reborn or you're not. Because this nature either goes through this change of dying to itself, dying to its order, or it doesn't. That's up to you. That's my answer.
All right, we have 2 hands up to speak with Guy, and I also have, 2 or 3 questions. Let's go to Larry in the queue. I'm going to unmute you, Larry. Go ahead and unmute on your end. I know you know how to do that. There he is.
Okay, yes, I do. Hi, Guy, and thank you for that wonderful talk. I'll be listening to it again and again.
Hi, Larry.
As well as many other ones.
Hi.
What I want to ask, basically, is that I just read a publication of yours, Stress Without Success.
Yes.
It's called,
No, you're right.
Secrets of
Stress without success. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, it talked about having this awareness of ourselves, the self that is the mechanical self, at conscious level at all times when we go through things, and therefore we can see that, we can die to it. Is this dying, what I'm being given to see is that this dying seems to be all the time, not just, it's not one time for all.
That's correct. That's correct. It isn't, I'm alive, then I die. If I'm really alive, I'm dying all the time. But what I'm dying to isn't the light that is revealing the need for that, Larry. That's what this talk was about, and I'll just tie it in a little bit tighter, is that here I am, and suddenly I'm anxious and I'm speeding. I'm angry at someone because they didn't or did do this. I'm regretting my past. Now, ordinarily, there's no thought whatsoever to the anger, the frustration, the fear. I'm just on board with believing that my resistance proves it was out of order and my choices will be given to me to restore it. It's a foregone conclusion. But when I begin to realize, out of order, it isn't like somebody waves a magic wand. That's what you all want. You know that? Do you know that you want about yourself? You want a magic wand. Poof! From frog to prince. Poof! From problem to perfect. Poof! 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 That's what I want. That's what I pay for. That's what you spend ludicrous amount of money on. An image of what will be is your wand. And your wish to make it so is the evidence that you have that you can change your life by imagining and identifying with something new. Out of order means, Larry, I'm actually aware of the fact that something is pressing me. Something's talking to me like it was in that knight's head, saying, look all these years and look where I am. I'm under a fat dragon again. What was the point of doing all that battle if I'm just going to drown in the blubber of some bitterness, a blubbering human being? No, I see it. To see it doesn't make it go away. To see it changes your relationship with something you believed you were responsible for and had created. Then the death begins. It is death by light. It is death by light, and light is always living. So death by light is rebirth. I hope that helps, Larry. Come on up, Leah.
Hi, my name is Leah. During this talk, 2 words kept coming to me, and one was patience. And then the consciously bearing ourselves is always useful. And I've been watching more and more in relationships when I can just zippa the lippa and bear myself and be in that moment and see that it is not about them. It's the feeling of myself, this nature that I'm trying to escape. It's
the resistance to that idea, image of what order is.
what the order should be. Yeah.
But see, that's what has to happen. Mm-hmm. Now I suffer trying to reestablish order. That's useless because it can't be done. The new conscious suffering is realizing what's out of order isn't the moment, but the nature that sees it as such, and now I'm going to suffer that nature usefully by bringing it increasingly into the light that reveals it for what it is. And that's the path.
And not changing other people is patience, because it's allowing them to do their thing.
Not changing, is that what
Correct.
I thought you said changing others.
Correct. Not changing other people is offering patience. It's offering love, because I'm sacrificing this Leah nature.
If you want to use these words, the only way that there will ever be space for anyone to see. When you changed, did you change because somebody pushed you into changing? No. Or if you change at all, did it come across because one day you realized, sweet God, I really am a mess. So that I didn't need somebody to tell me I was a mess. I saw it. And when I saw it, it changed my relationship with the mess. Because now I know what a mess is, and what I thought was order is the mess.
And the more we bear ourselves, the more we see the mess.
That's right. And the more you do that, the more others have the chance to see that they are out of order. You press against somebody because you want them to be orderly. They will press back against you because they want you to be orderly. And what happens when you get 2 people fighting with each other about what order is? War. And there's no order in war. So it creates the possibility, because you have agreed, this is us. Look, I'm happy to die to myself, okay? But I need you to do it first. I mean, look, if we just get on that same page, it's beautiful, Mom. You just stop being Mom, then I'll stop being Leah.
That's how you show me you love me.
Yeah,
Dying first.
just die, Mom. Literally. Yeah. God help us. God help us. And He will. Remember the light.
The other thing that kept coming to mind was in the Bible talks about free will. And this talk, it kept coming. Can you speak to what free will, we were given free will?
Here, go sit down. What we call free will now is when we have a desire to either enforce order or change what is out of order so that it more resembles what we need to feel secure. That's what we call free will. Free will begins with conditioned desire, because you couldn't have the desire to change something without the past imposing itself onto the moment. Free will is understanding something that no one wants to understand, because it runs so, I light up inside when certain, I don't have the words yet, but I see the picture. Free will is understanding that no matter who you are and what you do in this world, you're going to serve something. Free will is deciding, because you've seen the futility of serving yourself. Free will is serving, being subservient to the order that you were brought into this world to serve. To complete creation and its perfection for the revelation of itself. So that I serve the right order by waking up to seeing where my suffering is born out of serving the wrong order. Everybody understand that? What's the one long word that helps you when you're feeling stressed, anxious, and rushing? Oh, out of order. Please, God, that somehow that sinks into something somewhere. Oh, let there be discovery as opposed to intention to prove.
All right, we have Tony waiting to speak with Guy. I'm going to unmute you, Tony.
Oh,
Come on in. I know you know how to do this. Unmute on your end. I'll give you another second, Tony. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute you again. I'll come back to you, or you can write me in the chat area, and I'll see if I can help you with getting unmuted. In the meantime, Guy, I'm going to send you this question that came in from Frida. Hello, Guy. I see this nature just making trouble more and more. And then you also see that your whole life consists of that, and it seems like everything is getting worse, that you are getting worse. It is one big mess.
welcome to my teachings.
Right. Frida doesn't like to do anything. Just think all this over. I can sit at home again, and probably I have to see much more how bad this all is because of myself. How bad this all is because of myself. I can't change anything about it either. It feels like I'm just doing something, and I don't know if I'm actually doing it right. Do you have any advice for me? Thank you so much, Frida.
Stop it. My favorite act. All right, Frida, you've brought up something that I didn't have time to put in the talk. Here it comes. Could you know that you were in the darkness if there wasn't light? It's gorgeous. Even in maybe some of you have never been places. I have myself been places where there is no surface, no light at all. Pitch. If all there was darkness, there would be no awareness of darkness. If all there was darkness, there would be no awareness of darkness. Because it's so dark, there's just darkness. Nothing other than the darkness. Wait a minute. Even in the darkest night, there's some light. What's the light? Even if it's pitch black, the awareness of the darkness. So that we suddenly have a glimpse of an idea that awareness is a form of light, which it is. So it is the awareness of darkness that allows me to do what? To understand what darkness cannot understand about itself, because darkness has no understanding. So something dwells in the darkness doesn't understand. And that as I go through these moments, these cycles, Frida, this inevitable movement, people have been writing and singing about when you walk through a storm, keep your head held high. And what? Don't be afraid of the dark. Why? A storm, there's a golden sky. The darkest moment is just before the light. What's that light at the end of the tunnel? All of these ideas are connected to the fact that in what we call the darkness, the light already dwells. It's just a question of where is my attention in these dark moments. So Frida and everybody else, where is Frida's attention? Is Frida a happy camper right now? No, Frida's not a happy camper. Why isn't Frida a happy camper? Because all I see is darkness. So where's my attention? It's on what I don't want to be, what I don't want to see, with everything that's wrong with me. Boy, wait till you get really old. You want to know what everything is wrong with you? Wait till your mind starts talking to you about all the stuff it's going to talk to you about. What a trip. You better prepare. I'm not kidding. You think I'm kidding? You don't know that your mind presently is under a certain series of limitations created by personality that ensures it doesn't overstep its bounds, because you wouldn't know what to do with it. But as you get older, and you've seen this with people who get really old and they start losing their temper and they start complaining and everything's bitter and hateful, that's because their personality no longer has any form of a barrier between itself and what lays in the dark of that human being. You need to work. You need to work. If you see the need, you'll be willing to do it. If you don't see the need, you're going to hate me for pointing it out, which is the easiest thing to do. You all didn't have to smile and laugh when I said that part. Right, Sarah? Frida, my favorite saying for the last almost 45 years, maybe more than that. Pull the seatbelt tighter, sit in the chair more firmly, and go through it. Go through it. It'll always change if you remain present to yourself. And what you'll see changes is the conditions that you thought were impossible. And then you'll see what was really impossible was this nature that was demanding what it had to have, and that's what made the moments impossible for you. A YouTube viewer.
I'm going to bring in this question that was posted on one of our videos up on YouTube. I think it was from the class that you gave 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Hello, thank you for sharing your videos. I have been feeling this negativity flower for almost 2 years now, constantly. It came up out of the blue due to something that triggered a source of repressed hatred, anger, negativity, and fear. And normally I'm not really affected by triggers, to be honest. I can't seem to get rid of the badness now. The emotions are actually so bad and negative that it distorts my day-to-day life, and it is literally exhausting my whole being. What a mess.
Do you understand that, first of all, is our YouTube viewer alone in this world? Or does everybody go through these cycles? He says it's 2 years. Some people go through these things for 20, 40, 50 years. Some people are on their deathbed going through that. Don't you be. So inherent in these questions is, what am I to do? This is where Christ's teachings, Buddha, this is where true teachings across the board are at some point summarily rejected by those men and women who say they are sincere in their search for a relationship with God. When I'm suffering, all I want is relief from my suffering. And all I see as the source of relief from my suffering is a mind that never stops considering the cause of it, so that the clearer it can become on the cause of its suffering, the more choices I will have as to how to relieve myself from that suffering. And that's how this mind works. And then it'll wear itself down, as this YouTube viewer is saying. I've run all the possibilities, and I'm not coming out with any possible pleasure. My life has become unmanageable, as it would be for any addict, because all I am is in the grip of something that only knows how to go deeper and darker, and all I know how to do at this point is to yield to it, because I don't know any other path. I described in this talk today the other path, but you know why nobody wants it? Because it's not to make the pain better, it's to make the pain clearer. It's not to make the suffering go away. It's to see that the suffering belongs to an order of self that is so clever in the way it's hidden its activity as to be almost unsuspected. But within you is this light that was never gone. In the darkest moment, it remains. It's just that you are cut off from the activity of those parts of yourself that in their unison is already connected to the great sun. And the only way in which you can bring an end to this kind of state that this man is referring to or this woman is referring to isn't by wishing it away or hoping that one day it will change. It's by agreeing to change your relationship to it. And you change your relationship to it by becoming more aware of its cause, not immersing yourself in your resistance to what you blame for it. This is what we don't want. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who, for whatever reason it has been given to them, understand I have a responsibility, and the responsibility is to place myself in the right order of things. And even though I can't feel the comfort of the right order of things, I still know what's right. This is what you won't do. I know it's right not to have an enemy, not it's right for me to think about what you did and one day I'll fix you. I know that I should not be sitting here depressed. I shouldn't be tense like I am. But I don't know I am because that's all I am. And then one day it gets so bad, like Frida was talking about, and this person. One day it gets so bad I can't escape it. Just as an addict one day can't escape the fact that they've been complicit in their own destruction. Then they realize there's a power that's been working on me that's anti-Christ, anti-God, anti-good. And now I see it. The solution isn't to try to change that power. The solution is to see where it is that I'm complicit with it. Because if I stop being complicit with it, what's that power going to do? What's it going to do if I stop being complicit with it? I say to myself, oh, out of order. Now I'm aware of it. What's it going to do? Thank God, guy, you caught me. You're right. I've been out of order all these years. You're free. Is it going to do that? Or is it going to do what Pharaoh did to the Jews? Make bricks without straw. Suffer more. And that's what it'll do. It'll do everything it can to ensure that you buckle under its order and try to reestablish your life according to it. And it can't do it, can it? Some of you, all of us to whatever extent, you're always on the clock. Jesus. Always on the clock. That's hell. Why? Because my life is ordered. Jesus. I have this to do in this time, in this way, and if I don't do this, then everything's out of order. If everything's out of order, I'm going to have to go back and reestablish it and get everything back in order again. That's called purgatory, from which you never escape because you're consistently persistent with being consistent to it. Ruin it. You think I'm kidding? Wreck it. That's what Christ told his disciples. Wreck it. Well, okay, I will, but after I go bury my father and put the grain away and do all the things I have to do, then I'll wreck it. You have to wreck it every day. Like, I can't, I won't, I don't know what to do. Look, go towards the light. What's the light? Recognize that anything that's denigrating you is a lie. Don't glorify yourself in denigrating yourself. See that something's denigrating you and remember the truth of that. That's the light, isn't it? But does that make the denigration go away? Or is that going to increase the part that wants to denigrate you? Because now you don't have a hope born out of hating yourself and one day loving yourself again. I'm going to shut up. Anything else? If not, we're going to hit it.
Sorry, can I say something?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so I woke up last night at like 2 a.m. And
Me too. Who else woke up last night?
Yeah,
It's
okay,
a,
all right.
it's a full moon, you know. And when there's
Definitely
a full moon.
Lunatic. So, yeah, I know everyone can relate to this kind of thing. You know, you think you're just about to fall back asleep, and then the mind picks up on something like, you know, and like it's just honed, it's, you know, come right in to your brain, and now the brain is just thinking. And I didn't have the words out of order, but boy, that's exactly what was going on in that moment. I could just see my mind start to, all the wheels started to turn. Ooh, exactly. But it was more like, oh. So, but because of this work, I did see that going on. And, it's interesting because today's talk sort of is allowing me to kind of take this a few steps further, because I saw it going on and I thought, okay, there's no stopping this. There's no stopping what's going on with the brain right now. But I can watch it. I could feel myself sort of intellectually looking at the problem, this problem of I'm in the middle of the night, can't go back to sleep, brain's going, I know it's not supposed to be doing this, you're a spiritual student, you're not supposed to be like identifying with all this stuff. But, we do these things in steps, right? So I thought, okay, if nothing else, I can just lie here and be still.
And not identify.
Right. And I thought, if nothing else, I'll just practice at that. This moment that is what this moment is for. This moment isn't for me to be sleeping right now, apparently. This moment is for me an opportunity to work. And if you can, then you can kind of extrapolate that out across your entire day. Anytime you feel the come up, if nothing else, this is a moment when I can work. And maybe that isn't as profound as it seemed to me when I had that thought. But everything is useful. Everything is useful.
Indeed it is. If we understand that there's no moment that doesn't bring with it that which can be useful to my development. Wayne, there's a car in the parking lot. I asked you to just simply go out. Which would you rather be, a stone in a stream or part of the stream? Not a trick question. You're a part of the stream, you know everything in the stream. There's nothing in the stream that isn't a part of you. Whether it's 1,000 miles away, whether it's part of the ocean, whether it's a raindrop. The awareness of a drop of water is the awareness of all water. The awareness of a drop of water is the awareness of all water. You live stone lives. Your mind's just locked you down and you can't see, you don't know, you don't understand, and you fight with your own conclusions and you call that living, and it's not. There's a field of awareness. What did Rumi say? Somewhere out there beyond what is out of order, there's a field, I'll meet you there. Beyond right and wrong, beyond up and down, beyond me and you, beyond this moment and what it means or doesn't mean. Only by the grace of God, because God made it so there's something inside of the human heart that one day can be so weary of being asleep that it won't care what it has to do to wake up. That'll be all that matters to it. You must pray for the day where all that matters to you is that you awaken from this deep sleep called yourself. Because if you have that wish and remember it, in every last one of these moments where something's out of order, you go, oh, let me see what I couldn't see before. That's simple. And you will see something you didn't see before. And what you see will move towards you, because what you're seeing is the truth of yourself that was never apart from yourself to begin with. And on that note, I'll see you later.